My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Set, guys. You got me a cigarette?
Put that shit on a t-shirt.
The Dread Pirate Steve be in no man's debt. I'll make a barter with you, true's the North Star. In exchange for your kindness, I'll be splitting me buried treasure with you. Once I find it, that be.
Come on, underachievers. Come on, all you underpass believers. We'll give you the skills for street living. It feels pretty great to just give in. So just give in. Dropouts, repeat offenders. We'll take the weary, weak, the street bartenders. Show them the best times are on the street. Satisfaction through the thrill of defeat. Ain't it sweet? Once you stop yourself from caring about owning stuff, that's when you want to start sharing. Cause all the things we want are cheap or free. I define success as not working, and I live like a king. Just wanna live and let others live. Of course we'll take anything you wanna give. So fucking give. Come on, dance like a retard. Life's an endless party, not a punch card. I don't understand some people's drive. Let's just fucking drink and be alive, not just survive.
Hello and welcome to episode 10 of American Voice Podcast. I am your host, Ken Woodward. We had a Voice of the Voiceless with me and Frank a couple days ago. And I think the point of emphasis on that podcast was that we were going to have our issues with the general election, and that would be it. One last what the fuck happened, and then we move on. And with this episode here, will be the same type of format. I'm going to comment on the general election and then put it behind me, because at this point, the people out in the streets right now are protesting in cities like Dallas and Chicago and other cities of major points of interest, it's senseless. It's not accomplishing anything more than showing stain that we already are all aware of. You can yell, scream, bitch, holler, take to the streets, and say Donald Trump's not my president. That's fine. But guess what? Yeah, he is now. So the accomplishments you're going to make there is nothing more than disdain and utterly being upset. And I'm hoping that most of the people who are doing these protests are people who voted for Hillary Clinton, who people who went out and voted and made their conscience well known. And I want to also defend the people who are now being the hatred is being turned toward, as far as the stainless, the independent voters who voted for not Donald Trump and not Hillary Clinton, but Jill Stein, Gary Johnson, or others. They're not the reason, folks, that Donald Trump won this election. I wish it could be that simple. It would be, I guess that would make it, at least easy to figure out. As for the last 10 days, a lot of us are trying to do. We're trying to figure out how this happened, because all the polls said it wouldn't happen. The media said it wouldn't happen, and it happened. I could generalize it myself if you want me to, if it would appease you. The group of people I'm looking at right now that concern me the most about how this election turned out is not the people who voted for Jill Stein or Gary Johnson, not the people who voted for others besides those two. The people I'm concerned about are the people who are swayed by the linchpin, so to speak, of the media, who gave us the false impression through polls they trusted. I'm not going to lay the media out to dry here. They trusted the polls. They did their job. The polls said Hillary was going to win, maybe not quite handily, but she had a confident lead going into election Tuesday. So what happened? Well, Hillary, as we've, I don't know how many times me and Frank have discussed this, the problem with Hillary is she's not trusted. She is the establishment. And in a time when we all can kind of agree that establishment has not done the job for the people whom they were solely elected to represent, and in this case, the Democratic Party and Barack Obama, that the people felt a change was needed. But obviously, that change that was needed was Bernie Sanders, but that didn't happen, and we were left with Hillary Clinton as a Democratic nominee, an untrustworthy person who's been involved in some scandals. And with the help of the FBI in Russia, those scandals were amplified at probably the worst possible time they could have been. Because when you look at the other side of the coin, the flip side of the Democratic Party and Donald Trump, whom I think couldn't have done a worse job of campaigning, couldn't have done a worse job of representing his point of view, because we never even discussed really his point of view. We didn't discuss his policies. We discussed the election is rigged. They're all against me. I'm your voice. I don't have to tell you what I'm going to do. It's going to be secret. But believe me, I'm going to do a terrific job. So the question in hand here over these last 10 days that have been trying to be hashed out by all sides, not just Democrats, the Republicans are trying to hash out, how did Donald Trump win this election? And the only thing I can come up with is a series of events, four things that are the main focus of the events that put us in a situation where we're walking into the polls thinking that if we voted for Donald Trump, it wasn't going to matter because Hillary's going to win, or if we voted for Jill Stein or Gary Johnson, it wasn't going to matter because Hillary's going to win. All the polls led to us to believe there's no possible way that Donald Trump could win. And how that happened, these four events I'm about to discuss with you in slight detail, I'm not going to go deep into detail, are the probably the main points that we should be looking at, not only now after the fact, and now as I'm discussing with you before the fact. This is something that we have to consider from now on with every general election that occurs in this country, and something we should definitely focus on making sure it doesn't happen again. Doesn't happen again. The first issue of this election general election that we obviously all agreed upon for the most part, well, these were the two most unpopular candidates in the history of both the Republican and Democratic Party. These were the two most untrustworthy, unliked candidates in the history of both these parties running at the same time. That right there is an element for surprise, or whatever you want to call it, volatility, as the markets would like to call some things that happen when the stock market goes up unexpectedly when it shouldn't, and goes down unexpectedly when it shouldn't. Volatility is a major factor, and the first point I want to make, the volatility of that both candidates were not the best we had to offer from each party. And the second element would be the trustworthiness issue that was brought up so many times. In fact, I think we focused so much on the untrustworthiness of Hillary that we kind of let it kind of equal, or equal out the corrosiveness of Donald Trump and his many statements he's made, and the way he's treated women, and the way he's acted. Period. Somehow got canceled out by the dislike and untrustworthiness we had with Hillary Clinton. The third thing was the media's coverage of the election from the very beginning, the early stages when Donald Trump announced his intentions to run. Basically a free campaign, the free advertising that this gentleman got, and I say that lightly when I say gentleman, he basically got to run a campaign without having to spend a lot of money on campaign ads, because we spent so much time, the media did, of addressing this candidate. I don't think there's been a candidate in the history of our country that's got much press time as Donald Trump. We're not talking about just blurbs and bleeps and little what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't just some things that he said. We pay attention to. The media went out of its way to air in its entirety his stump speeches and his rallies, and even after that, even furthermore, his rallies having the events they had with people being kicked out and people being told to leave, and the incitement of violence that he so danced around so well, put even more emphasis on the media's coverage of these rallies. At the point in time when you had Hillary on the other side um, the enthusiasm just wasn't. It wasn't the fact that the enthusiasm wasn't there. There was a kind of a dullness to it. I don't know how to describe that exactly. Kind of a the media wasn't really concerned and gave you more of Hillary stump speeches and her rallies as I believe some blurbs and meanwhile Donald got full attention. I'm not sure how to describe that. The other item of interest to me was the fact that it was assumed by the media so often, especially in the later stages of the general election, the polls. And again, I give them some leeway. They're going by the polls they're seeing. And if you report by what you see the facts are. And the facts are in front of you, and it shows Hillary is leading by 6-7 points on average. You're apt, as Rachel Maddow, who's been thrown under the bus. I don't understand that one bit. Don't understand how she got thrown as she was just doing what all the other reporters were doing, especially on the liberal side, reading the polls and basically reporting it as they should, that Hillary was comfortably ahead and Donald was imploding. MSN itself having articles less the week before the election on Donald's staff imploding and people getting fired or looking as though they were in total disarray. There was no indication. The point I'm making is that there's no indication otherwise to believe that Hillary, going into Monday, November 7th, was comfortably ahead. Comfortably ahead. Then there came the other element of all this, the element of the FBI in Russia. Maybe in cahoots. Can never be proven, that's for sure. But both sides definitely did their share of damage to the Hillary campaign, with the email scandal being reopened conveniently just days ahead of the election. And Russia, of course, using WikiLeaks to expose some emails that were very, very, very they were violent. They were violent against Bernie Sanders. They were showing Hillary as we all have kind of read in the media over the course of the last decade or so. The Clinton machine, the political machine, the Clinton machine, eating anything in its way and spitting them out. And her complete displeasure that Bernie ran a campaign on promises that were just impossible to keep. And somehow the American people were buying this and making it difficult for her to do what she wanted to do, which is to thoroughly and completely defeat Bernie, which she couldn't do. And that's the ironic part of the situation to me, here she was running against this guy who was a socialist Jew, who was presenting a case for policies that could never really be fulfilled without some amazing, would have to be some amazing movements and some amazing efforts. And in her emails that were released by the WikiLeaks through Russian pressure, I believe, showed this utter disappointment she had for this gentleman running against her on these false promises. And the ironic situation of it, of course, being that she would eventually run against someone else from the Republican Party in a general election, whom kind of did the same thing, which is what Donald did. He basically ran Bernie's campaign on steroids. He's made promises he cannot keep, folks. If you think the wall is going to be built and be paid for by Mexico along the borders of these two countries, you're sadly mistaken. If you think he's going to deport 2 to 3 million immigrants, alien, even if they're illegally here, on day one from his office. Good luck with that. If you think he's going to tax the wealthy the share of taxes they deserve, something he campaigned on, by the way, good luck. Not going to happen. He's going to ban Muslims from coming into this country temporarily. Not going to happen. He's going to repeal Roe versus Wade. That's a court battle that would take so long that he would have to be in office for more than one term to execute that. Not going to happen. So all these elements working together with one common element, which is what I'm going to try to come back to. All these elements I just discussed with you all worked with one common element. And that common element was the media. And I've seen the hate through these protests. And some of the hate isn't just reflected at Trump. There are some out there who say, if I find somebody who voted independent in our protest group, I'm going to stab him, and got like over 1,000 likes for saying that on Facebook. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. Because they're not the ones who, if you look at percentages, yes, this election had a higher percentage than normal for independent turnout. But you can't just say that all the people who voted for Gary Johnson or Jill Stein or others would otherwise have voted for Hillary Clinton, because the fact of the matter is this election was lost because the media gave everyone this impossible, obviously, completely incorrect ideology of this election, that Hillary was comfortably ahead on November 7th, and you had a whole bunch of people out there who didn't want to vote for her. Well, they didn't want Donald to win, but they didn't want to vote for Hillary. And if you ask 9 out of 10 non-voters that day on Tuesday, November 8th, if given that opportunity to vote again, to actually go out and vote, not to vote again, to actually not have the stance of, I don't want to vote for Hillary, but I don't want Donald Trump to win. But they had such an intense distrust for Hillary. And intense, I don't know if her personality rubs wrong with people. I think it does. I think she knows that. But you can't change your personality overnight. You have to be who you are when you're running for the highest office in the country and possibly in the world. How do I put this? The election was lost by Hillary, by the people who decided that I cannot vote for Donald, obviously, but I also can't vote for Hillary. But the media is telling me that even if I decide that staying at home is a protest vote in a way, to say that neither of these two candidates can I vote for. But I knew that even that way, Hillary is still going to win. Then I've exercised some sort of protest vote by not voting for Hillary, but understanding that it wasn't going to make a difference because she's going to win. If that makes any fucking sense. Well, obviously now, 10 days later, it absolutely makes no fucking sense, does it? Now, if you're a person who thought like that, I don't know how you feel now. I'm sure you feel frustrated, pissed off, and like, yeah, an easy target would be independent voters and say, it's all your fault, not my fault. I was, or Rachel Maddow and the media. Yeah, there you go. Don't blame yourself for not voting. The first thing I said when I covered this general election on my PLP podcast turns out to be the most important thing that no one listened to. matter if you think you're voting for someone who you don't really trust or someone who's not really the person you really want. Most importantly, vote. And secondly, vote for the person who best represents your beliefs. Said that a year ago, a year and a half ago. Like a year ago. It was way back at the very beginning, shortly after Donald Trump announced his intentions to run for presidency. After that escalator ride down, that's when I told you folks, vote. And even if the person you're voting for isn't your best option, fine. But vote. Vote for the person that best represents your beliefs and what you believe this country should move forward toward. And if you've done that, I believe enough of you would have said, as much as I don't like Hillary, as much as I don't trust Hillary, and she's the establishment, and the establishment has left me behind, I know for sure that Donald Trump is not the answer. And as much as I like Jill Stein, as much as I think Jill Stein's a great candidate, she's not qualified, and she's not ready to run the country. And Gary Johnson is just a complete kind of neighbor. He lived next to me. He was my neighbor. I slapped him in the face because he's a smartass. You'd have voted for probably Hillary. Would have liked it. May even had your right thumb and your middle forefinger over your nose as you did it. But it was important for you to make sure that the person you least thought was qualified to be president of the United States was not voted in. And that's all you would have done. So don't blame these frickin' independents, and don't threaten to stab them at protest while you're going to an anti-Trump protest, which I'm already telling you is a complete waste of your time. You're not putting your efforts in the right place. Don't blame them. Blame the people who didn't go out and vote because they were sure that that would be the protest vote necessary to show that they had such hatred toward the process and how it had left them behind. But hey, it won't matter because at least Hillary will be voted in. That's what the media told me. So I'm cool. I'm in a win-win position. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for her. No, because he didn't vote. Guess what? We got him. We got him. A president-elect who is truly, actually, unfortunately for those of us who are independent, may go down in history as the first independent to win the presidency. He stole a party, much like Bernie tried to, unsuccessfully. He did successfully steal a party, and he actually is an independent in the White House. This is a recipe for disaster because not only will the Democratic Party not support him, his own party is still arguing over whether they should support him or not. The jury's out on the Republican side. They're not sure. You'll have the kiss asses like Giuliani and Christie and Cruz, Bonner, whom are going to get positions because they didn't they didn't abandon him at a time when he felt the party had. But there's still a whole bunch of people out there in the Republican Party embarrassed, concerned, and looking to do whatever it takes to ensure that their values are not overrun by this independent, not a politician. We can go on that for a long time about the dangers that face Donald Trump, basically based just plainly on his inexperience and his the combination of inexperience and The combination of inexperience and still this person who's been used to being in charge, who walks into a boardroom, he's the chairman of the board, here's how it's going to be, here's what we got to do. I can get into that a little bit later too. The reality whip that's going to slap across Trump's face on January 20th is going to be one that I'm not even sure he's ready for. He's just getting now a smell, a little taste of what's in store for him. And I'm sure that even someone as experienced in business and someone who's been all over the world, talked to several people, several businessmen over the world, and is used to being the head honcho, doesn't understand yet. That's my half-hour intro. More to come as we evaluate, substantiate, and try to move on past an event in our history that will probably be going down in history books as a turning point for reform in measures that our country has always kind of been stuck with because of the Constitution and the political system we put forth. I think the beginning of the change that will be necessary, and sometimes changing our government, which is outdated, which we've kind of become, has to happen with radical takeover. Not so much takeover, radical seismic rumbles. American Boys Podcast, episode 10 is on.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
An Arabic proverb attributed to a prince who was betrayed and decapitated by his own subjects.
Still, it's a hell of a quote.
So I started out my intro with kind of trying to explain what happened a little over a week ago. And there's so many avenues to go with this. There's so much stuff to discuss. It's not funny. Just to start with Bonner being Stephen Bonner being put as the chief strategist for the Trump transition is mind-boggling, and probably at least a 3-hour discussion of very ridiculous and esoteric viewpoints and much disappointment. And if you're expecting Donald to do something that won't disappoint you over the course of the next 2 months, I could appreciate your optimism. And you look over the course of MSN and MSNBC, especially the liberal networks. This what do we do next attitude that has replaced the how did this happen attitude, and that's a common and good step forward. We can lament on how we lost this election for the next 3 years if you want. It's not going to do us any fucking good. We'll do more harm than good, actually. What we have to do now is move forward from this. I tried to explain to you what I thought caused this, which was an overconfidence kind of the media gave people to give them the right to say, I know I don't want to vote for Hillary, so I don't have to, but she's going to win anyway. So it's kind of like I get what I want without having to actually put myself out there. When the FBI and Russia doing their job of trying to sabotage her campaign at the very time when it seems she had momentum for the debates. We can go through the whole thing with her untrustworthiness, with people having a problem with that, and all of that. It's just stuff we should just sweep under the rug because it's all dirt. None of it's good. You're not going to get anything out of this crap we've listened to for the last 10 days, positive, to keep with you going forward. So just sweep it under the rug. It's all dirt. It's all mud. It's all crap that we don't need to deal with. There's nothing you're going to get positive from it. And you can sit out there on the streets and protest and say he's not my president. I didn't vote for him. But it's not going to change anything. Change has to affect now is the movement. And that's what this podcast is going to be about from this point forward. We're not going to joke around no more. We're not going to have spin-offs or crap like me making fun of TV series. We're not going to have jokes anymore. This is serious shit from this point on. And I think that's what you people really want, is serious shit. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be pandering to the correct group of people. And what group of people right now are the most pissed off would be people who are going to be immediately impacted by this election. First off, the people who are on Obamacare, 20 million people. I mean, we're all concerned. I'm definitely not going to say it's a mild issue about people who could well be deported from this country. That's 2 to 3 million people. Well, let's talk about 20 million people who are about to lose their health care. I think that's an issue that's more important. And it's probably the one economic issue that gets kind of swept under the carpet itself, under the rug itself, because we're all concerned about the American worker and how much they're making, and the income equality gap. But it really all boils down to health care, folks. It does. If our health care program is not running and helping the people that needs to and doing its proper due, so to speak, nothing else fucking matters. It doesn't. If you're finally making the money you deserve to make in this country, working for companies that to this point deprived you of that won't make shit difference if all it takes is one trip to the hospital will you be in debt for the rest of your life. It doesn't equate to a victory economically for you. It all has to start with you can't be in a situation where something that's out of your hands, something you can't control, can, without even much involvement by people who retract. What I'm trying to say is you cannot have economic recovery if you still have people who are at the mercy of doctors and hospitals and such and bills that are so outrageous that it only takes something that you can't yourself control, put you in a position of being in poverty. Okay? And there is a big difference between getting the free ride and being taken care of. And it's something you're going to hear from the Republican side and Donnie, of course, the next 4 years, I'm sure, as, we shouldn't, you don't get a free ride. Folks, like I said, and I'll repeat it again, there is a big fucking difference between having the opinion that someone's getting a free ride and taking care of the people who work hard for your country. And I've said it, and I'll say it again, I'll say it again, I'll say it again. It's just so fucking simple. It's not rocket science here, economically, for the American worker, to me. If you work 40 hours or more a week in this country, you should not only not live in poverty, you should never be a paycheck away from being impoverished. Shouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be in the back of your mind whatsoever. The pressure on the American worker right now is intense and ridiculous and sick. We have people who take their careers in their own hands if they call in sick to work once in a 4-month period. If you do it twice in a 4-month period, you might lose the very income you have and you'll be impoverished. You will be a poor person. May have worked 40 plus average hours a week your whole life, had a bad fucking month, and back-to-back months you had bad months, and now you're broke and you're on the street homeless. That's not right in this country. That's not how it's supposed to work. And when you have people whom are making money off of you hand over fist, they don't have just a house, a nice car, a nice nest egg for their family. They've got 2 or 3, 4 houses, 5, 6, 7 cars. Enough money that the next 6 generations of their family will never live poor unless they just fucking go crazy at a Las Vegas slot machine. It's not right. They're not working any harder than you. They may be more intelligent, and I will give this much. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and shit on people who have college educations and who run stuff, because those jobs are very fucking important. But when you look at their income, and you look at the people who are busting their tail, who are the reason why they're getting that income, and you look at the difference between those 2 incomes, it should not be this is Mars, the frickin' Earth, space in between. Maybe the moon, but not Mars. Donald Trump ran on a campaign promise he made early, when he was running against the other 15 assholes, who unfortunately none could actually put forth an effort good fucking enough to actually win the party they actually represented against a man who actually represented not either the Republican or even the Democratic Party just himself could not put forth the effort to argue against a man who, in the very early stages of his campaign, said he was against a minimum wage. But thank you, Donnie, for that, because at least you flip-flopped on that, and now, so I'm for raise the minimum wage. Yeah. Who fucking knows what he's for? Does he know what he's for? I highly doubt he does. I would be surprised if, in the course of the next 48 months, we actually see a decision made by Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone. He is going to rely so much on his advisors, so much on his chief of staff, so much on his cabinet. The burden on those people will be impossible to be credible. Keep credible. They will. And we're not even going to get involved in his strange, I have to call it a issue, a strange desire, a bad habit of tweeting to the American people when I'm sure his advisor is saying this is the very last thing you need to do. This is against your best interest, sir. You need to keep your opinions to yourself as far as social media, and you need to talk to the people over a microphone in a cordial situation. It is unpresidential to tweet. But these are the early stages of the Trump presidency that we've seen. As a president-elect, you begin to give an impression. That impression is usually lasting. Can you back up and correct mistakes as a president-elect? Yes, certainly you can. I mean, it's not unprecedented. Several presidents elects have made appointments that were not popular, and they realized it, and they backed off and put other candidates, more worthy candidates forward, which hopefully will have the Trump campaign. And we get now into the inner workings of going from a campaign to a victory to an actual position that very few people have experience in. Only 44 over the last 200 plus years have experience in. And that's running the country as President of the United States. It's not something you have a course for at your community college, or much even less your Harvard. There's no course to be President of the United States. You only a few people have gone through it, and they, having gone through it, probably would not want to go through it again by telling you how it works. I'm going to have several meetings with President Obama, I hope, in the future. His President Obama's staff marking that with the word unbelievable, and not in the way that would be an unbelievable great thing. That would be not going to happen. It's impossible, not going to happen thing. Unbelievable, no way. If you looked at President Obama in the White House with his first meeting with Donald Trump, the president-elect, it was so awkward and so surreal that even the President of the United States himself kind of appeared to be like, maybe this is a dream. Is this possible? A reality TV star is sitting here across from me, and now he's asking advice from me as he prepares to take over my position as President of the United States. Which will lead into my next issue here with the whole thing. And possibly the only thing those of us who voted for Hillary Clinton, I did. I got off my butt and did, even though I'm from Illinois. And I actually knew for a fact my vote was going to Hillary, whether I liked it or not. And we'll get into that a little bit later, the Electoral College and the movement and the things that I wanted to have happen. But I actually did it, even though I knew she was going to get my vote. I can't even imagine someone who didn't do it and didn't do it with the belief that I'm sure she's going to get my vote. Wow, I could have had a V8. That person should have had a V8 and gotten the fucking poll. That's beside the point again. Yeah. What we're discussing is if there's anything we can get from this that will give us some sort of relief, some sort of, release a little pressure, release a little air from the balloon that's occurred. We're sure it's about to bust. And that is that at least we know there's some course of revenge that Donald's going to have to go through. And I think the look on his face in that Oval Office, I talked about Barack's look on his face. Let's talk about Donald's look on his face. Uncomfortable, uneasy, and unsure. Those are the three uns that Donald showed last week, without a doubt. Let us be clear that when you actually go to the trouble of tweeting, and again, why is this motherfucker tweeting? Can anybody control this idiot? Tweeting that the transition is going methodically and well organized. The only reason you would actually say that your transition is going organized and methodically and slowly making correct decisions is if you have people saying it's not. Otherwise, you don't have anything else to say. You have no reason to go out of your way, in a matter of speaking, to present that. It should be assumed that you are organized. It should be assumed that you are taking your decisions very, very methodically because they're so important. Which laments to the possibility that there's chaos going on in the Trump transition team. And that's what I feel is happening. And like I say, the one discourse we could take from this as people who did not want him to be president is sometimes you get what you wish for, and you should be careful what you wish for. This gentleman, I think he never really thought he was going to be president. Me and Frank have said this from the very beginning. We're not sure he ran to become president. We think he just ran so Hillary wouldn't become president and assumed that some moron, some idiot, somebody with fucking common sense, somebody with a fucking public record worthy of shit would have beat him. Didn't happen. And guess what, Don? You're the press. Very first thing happens when you're the press elect. Goes out for a family dinner. Doesn't feel he has to tell anybody. He's just Donald Trump. That's what he does. He does what he wants. The press goes fucking batmonkers. It's totally fucking a huge issue. Oh my God. You didn't tell the press where you went to, and now, oh my God. Chaos. Don, that's just the tip of an iceberg that you're about to fall into face first, and the frostbite's gonna fucking suck for you. He's rich, been wealthy probably almost his entire adult life. I'm willing to guess. Privacy is an issue that I'm sure that he's been able to control. Now I'm going to say that he likes privacy because you've seen him. It's obvious he loves the spotlight, loves to be the center of attention. But as a wealthy person, most wealthy people do have their quiet times that they appreciate and want. Don, kiss that goodbye. It's gone. There is no quiet time for you. There is no time where you're not going to have somebody there with you, except when you sleep. And Melody will be next to you, and that'll be the only time you actually have just one person besides yourself in a room. For the rest of the next 4 years, you're going to have somebody you don't want there, but that's their job to be there. Over the next 4 years, Don, guess what? Your fact-checking that you were able to slide by during your campaign, guess that goodbye. Everything you say from now on is not only to be fact-checked, but when you lie, it's going to be a fucking big deal. A fucking big deal. Let me repeat that just a third time so people get the hint here. And Donnie, I want you to hear me loud and clear. Every time now that you lie, it's going to be a big fucking deal. So now not only do you have to fact check every single statement you make to the press, which is going to be a pain in the ass you've never experienced probably over the course of the last 2 years for sure. But now guess what? Like I said earlier in this podcast, you're going to walk into the White House thinking you're chairman of the board and finding out, unfortunately, that you're just in charge, but there's a whole shitload of people that if you want things done, you're going to have to kiss their asses. Something I'm sure, I'd say 96% sure you've never done as a businessman. I get the 4% being the times you've had to kiss ass to people who have to give you, your realtor, or your projects, your projects, realty projects. You have to kiss some ass to get code and all that crap. But this is not like that. This is not getting, kissing ass to the board of the city to get up to code and get your permits correct. This is the United States presidency. Everything you've just told the American people that you want to do on day one won't be done on day one. Day two, no. Day three, no. Day four, no. Month one, no. Month two, no. Month three, no. Month four, no. Some of them will be year one, year two, year three. No, no, no. And the temperament that you've shown to me, Don, if I can call you Don, is this is not going to work well with you. It's not going to set well with you when you walk in there and say, I want to deport 2 million illegal immigrants, and they tell you you can't. Not going to sit well at all. And what I actually imagine seeing over the course of the next 48 months is basically we're going to see a grown adult moron doing nothing more than spending most of his time having temper tantrums and tweeting. Thank you, folks, for voting that in for the next 4 years. Because the danger in that isn't just that we're lucky enough that none of his policies are put forth. That we're lucky enough that he doesn't embarrass us in front of the entire world. If we're lucky enough that he manages to accomplish nothing of his goals, he will accomplish this goal. And in itself, this goal accomplished will do irreparable damage to our country. And that is 4 years of nothing getting fucking done. You, the people, have voted, and the best hope we actually have is that you, the people, have voted that the next 4 years, nothing fucking gets done. The damage that will cause is almost as bad as any of the policies he put forth being accomplished. Four years of shit, nothing getting done. And now as the movement progresses, the movement I'm putting forth progresses, the first accomplishment we have to do is, of course, get the Senate flipped to the Democratic side. The House is pretty much a lost cause. The best we can do with the House is at least narrow the gap. But that's our first movement accomplishment we have to make. Even with that, again, we're only ensuring that even more so over the last 24 months of a Trump administration, nothing getting done as we block every issue he puts forth. It's just sad. Sad. Here's this country full of very intellectual people. A lot of people have intelligent ideas, fantastic methods to solve this economic crisis we're in. Even though the media will try to tell you it's not an economic crisis, it is. The income inequality gap has gotten too fucking big. I don't care if Wall Street goes over to fucking 12,000 points, 15,000 points. The rich are just getting richer. It's not making you richer. Unless, like I said in an earlier podcast, the money's stuffed out of the pocket so much that if some of it falls out, we can get some crumbs. It's not going to make it better for you. So we're going to have on this podcast some points of the movement. As the podcast continue and the website I put up, American Voice Now, begins to operate, which it will this weekend, as I go to GoDaddy and get this webcast website going, and this movement hopefully progressing, as we me and Frank have kind of sat back on the sidelines, like I think the rest of the country did, just curious to see what the fuck was going to happen on November 7th, or November 8th, pardon me. Now the movement begins, and it has to begin now. That's the important part of American Voice Now website that this podcast will support. Now. There is no time to waste. Don't worry about 2020. 2020 is 2020. Clear as a bell. But now is 11/2/16. And now, if we're going to be successful in 2020, is where we begin. So that's about as much as I'm going to lament on the Trump disaster, the rumblings that are going to occur, the issues of how he got elected. We can debate that over the course of the next four years if you want. It's not going to do you fucking any good. Going out the streets and screaming that it sucks, it's not going to do you any good. There are things you can do, I'm going to tell you, and things we can do now, immediately, that I'm going to tell you. Those are the important things to look to do now. You have to put November 8th in the back windshield and drive a machine that is progressive, liberal, independent, and positive ideas for this country to make it great again. To make it great again. Those are the important issues at hand here. America is going to be a success story, except for a 4-year interval where we had to do kind of a sit back, reevaluate, recalibrate, and re-energize a base of people that obviously is 1 million more people than all the other idiots who think going backwards is the way to go. This is the American Voice Podcast, and we are moving forward.
We're going to man. It's Mr. Hinnataneka!
It's conflict!
So, like I said earlier, I was hoping to have Frank on here. I hope to still try to get Frank on here. It's usually a time of night when he's up. I'm kind of concerned, but he's been kind of going through the same kind of cycle that a lot of us whom were anti-Trump but not pro-Hillary are going through. And it brings me to the we didn't have a choice this year. That's the biggest lament I have. Believe it or not, Donald Trump being elected, Hillary being an untrustworthy bitch, the whole system being rigged by the media and corporate media, I can lament over that and say, yeah, that's pretty sick. The biggest lament I had, though, this year was that I didn't have a choice. I had to go into a voting booth and, for the first time in a long time, make a choice I didn't want to make. And it was not, it was not good. It was pretty depressing. But again, as I've said before, on previous podcasts, I went out and did the deed. I went out and voted. Yes, I voted for Hillary. And do I feel good about that? No. But the people who didn't go out and vote, who thought it didn't matter because Hillary's going to win, I wonder how you feel tonight. I really do. I would love to talk to someone like that. If there's anybody out there who wants to talk, email address is woodwardken@hotmail.com. That's WOODWARDKENN@hotmail.com. And if you have a little brief statement you'd like to send to me, a little zip file of MP3 value that I can put forth on this episode that could make some sense out of this, how you can actually defend not voting and assuming that Hillary's going to win, and feel still like it's not your fault, it's the media's fault, and it's independents' fault, the independent voters' fault. I love to hear that. I love to hear that little tidbit. That'd be great. I would make fun of you. I just want to hear your answer here. I just want to hear your response. What makes you feel like you've not done anything wrong? Gone. Okay. Here's the rug. Set her there. Done. Let's talk about positive things now. Because that's all we have left to do. We can wallow in pity. We can worry about the future. We can think everything's going to go dark and all that crap. I choose not to do that. I choose to look at positive. The positive from this is that this should be a wake-up fucking call to the American people that your voice is not being heard, that you're not being represented appropriately by your government and the instruments of your government to elect your voice. It seems to me irrational that almost all of the elements of government are elected by popular vote, except for one. The one person who represents the entire government is not elected by popular vote. Otherwise, Hillary Clinton would be the president-elect right now because she won the popular vote. Now, albeit you can kind of generalize that, especially as a conservative, you would, that without California, she wouldn't have won the popular vote. That's why we have the Electoral College. As you can see, if we didn't have the Electoral College, one state would decide the entire election. Fine. You stick to that gun. It's smoking and it's stupid. Me and Frank had a mock election. And we were patting ourselves on the back all the way up to about 8 o'clock Central Time. We were doing fantastic. We were like 19 out of 20 states. The only state we had called wrong at that point was Florida. We were very confident that, as we had Hillary winning by over 100 electoral votes, that Florida wasn't going to make shit difference. And everything we predicted was obviously coming true. And the prediction, by the way, is the polls. I went by the polls, unfortunately. That's the problem we had there. I was going by the polls. And for the most part, the early polls were very correct. The later polls, and out of this, otherwise polls of the Rust Belt, unfortunately went completely wacko. But like I said, not going to continue to dwell, except where we need to. And when we look at this country, we look where this election was lost. We look to the Rust Belt, and what's the Rust Belt represent? What have I told you is the most important majority of this country that's underappreciated? The American worker. And they spoke loudly, that they were not being, in their opinion, being taken care of appropriately by the establishment. And they're actually very correct. The establishment did a lot to help minorities and to help the poor and to help the people who unfortunately were left behind in the Bush economy, except for the ones that were left behind in the Bush economy who were still working. And that involves me. That includes me. I lost my job because of the Bush economy. I got laid off. And now I'm back to work, but I'm working check to check. And to me, that's just fundamentally the biggest problem this country has. That I should not have to worry that if I miss one check, I'm in the soup line and at the Salvation Army on a cot. That seems to me a very simple, as simplified as you can get. Simplifying it right down to the bare nuts and bolts. Shouldn't happen. And I'm not even going to mention the fact that I'm a veteran, or that I do have some college education, that I do have a resume with some very good jobs, and I've been a supervisor at one point in my career. Fuck all that. Doesn't mean shit. I'm one paycheck away from, maybe if I'm lucky, working at a gas station as an attendant and making $8 an hour. As are many of you who are listening. And I'm sure at the end of a 10-hour, 12-hour day, as we all now are being pushed into the points where if we're not working 10, 12-hour days, we're working 2 jobs, and we're eating more shit than ever to get less shit than ever. You can agree with me that it's just not right. It's not right. When you see the bosses at your corporation, especially, I don't know how you even survive as a Walmart employee without just wanting to cut somebody's throat above you. I don't know how you do it. I appreciate you. I do. I really appreciate you. I appreciate Walmart workers and McDonald's workers and people who work at companies owned by Halliburton and people who work at companies owned by large corporations that just sit there and rake it in. And you are one paycheck away from being impoverished. I appreciate you because it's not easy to do that. It would be very much so easy to just flip your middle finger up at your boss and say, fuck you, you don't pay me enough, I'm moving on. But of course, they've rigged the economy so that you just can't find anything better anyway, so you have no choice but to take that middle finger you wanted to flip up at your boss, stick up your ass and keep yourself fucking quiet. That's not dignified. Flipping your middle finger at your boss is not dignified either, but flipping up your ass and keeping quiet is not dignified. So, what do? Well, you join this movement. And I'm not asking you to just, to abandon if you're in a current group that has the same beliefs as me. And if you have something going on, you're in charge of a Facebook page or a web page or whatever, you're the Green Party, or the Libertarian Party, or another party, or a party that agrees with me, to completely drop that affiliation and say, now I'm part of the American Voice Now movement. No, that's not what this movement's about. This movement's about uniting all these people who believe the same thing as us as one major movement. I don't think that's asking a lot. I think that's a simple request. We don't have to have leaders right now. We don't have to have people in charge. We don't have to have a specific name of the movement. Oh my God, if you think about that shit, you just get caught up in so much fucking... It's too immense to even imagine. You just want people who believe the same thing as you to be on your side and to have a common goal and to have a way to communicate and organize and do things that show the rest of the country that this is what we believe in, and you roll from there. It's like a domino effect from there. And then suddenly you have more people and more people and more people involved with you. And you don't have to have one name to the group until a point comes when you actually do have a movement. Then you name that movement, and then you elect your leaders. So it basically described how a party starts, I think. Haven't I? But I basically don't want to say party. I want to say movement. I want to emphasize over party movement. Because a party puts you in a position where you have to have established leaders and representatives, and you have to have a platform. An evolving movement doesn't have to do that. You can have discussions on issues where you don't agree with some of the groups, and we can all have discussions and be free to point out our opinions on things and ideas on how things should work. And what we have, I believe, a system that will make everyone happy. American Voice Now is just right now a movement, an idealism of what should be. I'm going to give you some very detailed platform ideas for this movement. Not all at once. That would be in a huge amount of time it would take. Consider the bills we see at Congress and the pages just for one idea to do one thing, and put that in perspective and say, can I just sit here for the next 3 hours and give you an entire movement's platform? No, I can't do that. That's silly. So I'm just going to give you a few now. Start the ball rolling. And as we grow more, and as we grow more, and as I get more viewpoints, more opinions, more people coming forth with their ideas and what they believe, and compromises will be given, then more. At the same time, the important part about this movement I want to continue to pound into your head is you don't have to worry that you're giving up what you stand for right now. If you have another party, if you have another group, if you have a Facebook group, or you have another party, or you have another, you yourself thinking about starting a party or wanting to be a leader or something, no, it's not important right now. That's not important right now. We don't want to get right now to the point where we have to actually have someone who is our 2020 nominee for president. For fuck's sake, I mean, that would be a good way to run the entire movement into the ground, actually. That was just a way to shut it down. We can spend the next 4 years arguing amongst ourselves about who should be the leader. That should be the least of your concerns, I hope. A movement is about what you believe in and getting people who believe the same thing you believe to be with you on it. Okay? I'm a voice, not a leader. Let's get that straight right from the get-go. I'm going to be the voice of this movement, not the leader. Am I going to give my opinions? Am I going to give you some ideas, some groundwork, some framework? Yes. Because I'm the first voice to actually say to all of you people who are all pissed off, who want something different, who want to have your voice heard, here it is. Here I am. Take advantage of me. I don't care. I'm like a slut on a Hollywood fucking producer set of a B movie. I want you to use me, take advantage of me, and do whatever it takes to get this fucker off the ground. So, in the current next half hour or so, what I'm going to give you is the groundwork for what I think this movement should stand for. And hopefully it won't just be, I'm not a dictator, so I'm not hoping that this is it. No. What a discussion can follow. I think the ideas I have are very good. I'm not going to fucking, be self-loathing. But are they it? I hope not. I hope the more people with great ideas and great anticipate a lot of intelligent discussion will forth eventually an idea that we all can agree to, because that's exactly how the Declaration of Independence came to be and our Constitution came to be. That we didn't just have one person saying, this is what I think, this is it. We had a whole bunch of people with fantastic fucking ideas who actually sat down, hammered out, and compromised and made two amazing documents. American Voice Podcast. We are on the air, And now, after this brief interlude, we will discuss some of the most important things you should listen to about this podcast. That is the movement that I want to put forth, and the ideas, the most basic platform of the ideas of this movement, the first step. And the first step will be our voice needs to be heard. And I'm going to tell you how that's going to happen after a brief musical interlude. And thank you for listening.
is right. Fear the Greek fighting man. Fear his sword, his shield. Fear his love for Mother Greece. But most of all, fear his freedom!
Sir, Dr. Evil's not bluffing. One of our satellites is falling out of orbit.
Which one?
It's the one that looks like a parrot.
Melons! Big, juicy melons!
Are they nice and firm?
Well, what do you think?
Look at that. It looks like a set of giants.
Hey, and then you're late. How we doing? We're back! Yeah! Yeah! Check it out. Those remind me of boobs.
Boobs, Ozzy?
These filmmakers are just boobs.
What do you mean, Dad?
Well, they're using the same joke as they did in the last Austin Powers movie.
What joke?
You know, joke about the long, smooth rocket that looks like some guy's...
Johnson. Yes, sir.
Any sign of that satellite?
No, sir. It's
their duty to populate the homeland. Pass on traditions. How to get ahead religions. And prosperity via defaulted culture. The idiots are taking over. 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 They're taking over.
Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, the movement. Oh, this should be when you're going to hear my voice perk up a little bit. You should be excited about something like this. You need to be excited about something like this. It's not just important to be excited about having a movement with people behind you and people who will walk next to you and support what you say. It's important to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. Which is to say that even though in defeat there is something to be accomplished, which that has never been more important in our history than now. So what do? You ask yourself as a Democrat, or maybe someone who was independent, or someone who's disappointed in the election result, which obviously 60 plus million of you are. Well, actually 65 million. We got to throw the independents in there as well. I'm sure Gary Johnson and Jill Stein supporters are not happy with the result. So what do you do now? Is the thing you're left with. After you face the fact, after you've actually stopped protesting, and as I said, swept it all underneath the rug, and realized it's time to move forward and get the truck moving this direction and not backwards. What do you do now? Well, first of all, you join a movement of people who believe the same things you do, and you push forth your ideas, and you push it back against, in that regards, the ideas that are hurtful and harmful to your country. Are you always right? No, you're not. But on basic human right issues, I'm going to go on a limb and say you probably are. On the issues of fair pay, equal pay, and equal wages for women for equal work, yes, you are probably. Not probably. You are correct. On the issues of abortion, there's some leeway I can give you to say we might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we're right. Pro-abortion is the route to go to save this world and this country. Issues of climate change being not hoax, as Donald says the Chinese have made it to be, I can give you again a 99.9% chance that we are right and they are wrong. On the issues of fair trade and more muggy issues like fair trade and minimum wage and immigration and healthcare. Pull healthcare out of that. No, we're right about healthcare. And on the other issues, yes, it's very muggy, but there's a good chance that we're also correct there. And when you're on the right side of the ledger, you should have a stronger voice and be louder and be more confident in success. And we have given ourselves credit for over the course of the last 2 years of this campaign that has occurred before us. And this movement will have as its first step, as I will not give you all its steps, as I told you, I can't give you the entire whole movement platform. First of all, you have to give it to me. Second of all, what I have to start with is a good ground framework, and I hope that will allow you to think that you should give it to me. If that makes sense. Your voice was not heard this year. And that's this movement's first step, the first part of the platform, getting the American people to be represented fairly and equally. And as the first part of this movement, our first goal should be our voice being heard. And the first part of that goal will be to either abolish or amend the Electoral College. It does not represent our voice fairly and is an outdated electoral procedure. The world looks upon us as being primitive in that nature, without a doubt. Abolishment would have gave you Hillary Clinton as the next president-elect. Amending it would have been giving you still Hillary Clinton as the next president-elect. As I did the numbers on the Voice of the Voice. If you listen to the Voice of the Voices, I told you the numbers. She won by like 4 electoral votes, 262 to 258. And that was done proportionally, which is to give you an actual percentage of your the vote in your state to a candidate and not giving them all the electoral votes, which makes fucking sense. Doesn't it make sense? It doesn't make sense. They can make it seem like it doesn't make sense by saying, 60% of the Californians voted for Hillary, 33% voted for Donald. She gets all 55. Makes sense to me. Let's go to Michigan. Oh, yes, let's go to Michigan. Let's say Michigan came down to like some ridiculous number of votes difference, like 10 or 9 or 8 or 7 votes difference. Do you still feel comfortable as a Michigan resident if Donald Trump only won Michigan by like 8 or 9 votes and got all 16 of your electoral votes? Does that seem fair now? No. The popular vote is kind of like important, to mildly understate it. Important. And at the very least, if you're going to have an electoral college, which our forefathers did, by the way, to ensure we never elected someone who was unqualified or not prepared to be president of the United States, would this year qualify there? I'm wondering. Isn't it ironic the very process that was put into place by our forefathers to prevent the American people from voting someone who was not either qualified or prepared to be president of the United States actually did give to a person who was not either qualified or prepared to be president of the United States the Electoral College this year? Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that by itself is the only argument you need on the floor of the Congress to abolish the Electoral College in any state in this country. Now, as the Electoral College was updated by the census stats, Census Bureau, and if you now understand why I have some problems with that, after what we saw with polls that were being done for this election, if you're going to lie to a pollster, does that mean you would tell the truth to a Census Bureau person? Just wondering. I mean, I'm wondering out loud. Again, I get in trouble for that. And I'm sitting here right now with a diary in front of me, a Nelson Ratings diary. I signed up for Nelson Ratings, and I found the one backlash, besides getting a couple bucks in the mail for it, is that at some point I actually had to do the process. I actually had to do it, besides answer a few basic survey questions, actually get what was eventually the form that Nelson Ratings uses for their statistics, that I'd actually, as I'm watching TV, actually have to go through the tedious process of writing down what time, what channel, what the movie or show I'm watching. Taking the fun completely out of watching TV is what the Nelson Ratings do for me at this point, and this is only the first night of it. Jesus, I got 6 more days to go. Kind of puts in perspective the same thing with this movement. It's tedious. It's not something you have time when you're juggling 2 jobs, maybe 3 kids, or you're trying to make your payments, or you're trying to get your shit done. You want to have some fun too. You want to have entertainment. You want to have a few beers. You want to watch a movie. And now I've got to sit here and get involved in the movement. Oh, come on. I mean, shit. My time's already stretched. What the fuck? What's that important? Much more important than a Nelson rating is a vote and an idea and pursuing interests common with other people from you to make this country better. That's just, I can't explain that to the social media deprived, not deprived, but social media enslaved society we have now. The reality TV show being more important than the reality that's going around you. The desire to tweet and the desire to be heard, but not for the causes that you should be being heard for. And even when you do that, you're being biased and uninformed by a corporate-led media. God, there's so many levels here to try to separate. It's just like separating fucking egg whites. It's just fucking tedious. It takes the fun out of it. I want to be political, but oh my god, you got to go for all these fucking boxes. What program you're watching and what channel it is and whatnot. I want you to do me a favor though, and do it. It may hurt. I don't care. It may take some time away from your video gaming programming or whatever you fucking watch, whatever you do for entertainment. Maybe you may have to actually not buy so many beers and actually stay sober for a while, but do it. Now, the movement. First step. Step 1. Abolish or amend the Electoral College so that our voice is clearly represented. Step 2 is even bigger, though. You think step 1 was big. We're talking about a system that's been in place for over 200 years. How about a system that's been in place for over 200 years as well, and abolishing the two-party system? Neither party is working for the general interest of the majority of Americans. And when neither party is working for the interest of the majority of Americans, there are 2 choices. We either amend the parties or we abolish them. And since we can't amend the parties because we're not in the position to do that, because we're not wealthy, we don't own corporations, we don't have billions and billions of dollars to throw at parties, then the only choice we have is to abolish them. And what happens when you abolish the parties? Does that mean the Republican Party fades into the sunset? There's no more conservatism, there's no more right wing, or the Liberal Party fades into the sunset, there's no progressive no more left wing? No. What happens is you go into a primary at the beginning of an election cycle, you pick out the 4 or 5 best candidates out of a group of 20 or 30, whatever it might be, that you want to be involved in the general election for the presidency. And what happens then is you still will have people who are conservative, you'll still have people who are liberal, you'll still have people who are independent, but they'll all be on the same ticket. So if we had done that this year, what would have happened, you say? Well, I'm saying the first thing that probably would happen was the top, first of all, the independents would be very upset because they would lose probably. Gary Johnson or Jill Stein would not be in the top 4 or 5 candidates, but you still would have had a choice when you walked into that booth, election day, November 8th, of either Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, or Bernie Sanders, Ted Cruz, or John Kasich, or maybe a Marco Rubio, and maybe walked out of that booth feeling more happy, more pleasurable, more pleasure, and not, you didn't have to put your fucking right thumb and your middle forefinger over your nose to do it. You actually voted for somebody who actually stood for what you believed in, and guess what? That's called democracy. May have not heard of that process because we haven't been following it much lately. So A, we establish either electoral college that works for the American voice or B, we abolish it, and B, we take care of the entire process being rigged by eliminating the parties. Just vote for the person who best represents you. If you were sitting in a room with 100 people and you didn't have a Republican or Democratic Party, would still shit not get done? It would get done because you'd find the people in that room who represented the majority of the voice of that room, and they would run and say, I should be in charge, and that's what should be the whole fucking process. Political parties mug the process. They make it muggy. They fog it. They change how things are considered, not only by the people, but by the media that covers them, and by the entire platform that governs them. That that there's some people who want to run as a independent, but they can't because they have no prayer of winning, so they cling on to a party. And they cling on that party to do what? To use the party's resources to make their message and reverberate more and be more clearly heard by the American people. And even though they're not really entrusted by that party, they have no people who are strong enough to actually run against them. So somehow they become the voice of that party just by default. And guess what happens November 8th? They get voted president-elect. Become Donald Trump. So the first part of this movement is very simple, yet complex in the way that it's going to change drastically the way we have been running our government elections for the past 200 years. A, goodbye Electoral College, or you are proportionately put forth so that people who vote, the votes that actually vote the president in, are represented by the people who actually vote, and not electoral votes, delegates that they voted for. That's stupid. Stupid. And B, abolish the party system. The two-party system that we can now all agree after this election is obviously giving us a mandate. Yeah, let's use that word, because I think Donald's going to use that word quite often. A mandate has been given by this election process, by the people, that they are both fed up. Democrats are fed up with the Democratic Party, Republicans are fed up with the Republican Party, and it's time to have no fucking parties. Just people who want to get shit done, and the people we agree with or disagree with. So that you can run on a platform of your own and not your party's. Because I'm going to guarantee you there are some parts of the Republican platform that Donald did not agree with, but he had to run with it because he was a Republican candidate. There's some parts of the Democratic platform that Hillary did not agree with, well, a.k.a. Bernie and his ideas, but she had to run those because she was a Democratic candidate. Don't weigh these people down by making them conform to platforms they don't agree with. Make these people your choice because you agree with the majority of what they agree with. It's a simple fucking thing. I'm sure I've sounded like I'm talking in circles this particular segment. And it's the reason is because it is circles. It's all circles. It's all circle, circle, circle. If you think you're going to go in a voting booth one day and vote for somebody who down the line, every single policy he's for, you're for, everything he's wanting for your country to move forward with, you're for, every single thing is correct and right with you, then you should be that candidate because that candidate doesn't exist. Okay? Compromise has been the backbone of this country from day one and will always be. So I'm going to sum this all up in a little bit here and hopefully try to make all this make sense for you. American Voice Podcast. I'm Ken Woodward, and I'm waiting.
Yeah, hi, it's Bill Lumberg. It's about 10 o'clock. Yeah, just wondering where you are. Yeah, hi, it's Bill Lumberg again. I just wanted to make sure you knew that we did start at the usual time this morning. Yeah, it isn't a half day or anything like that. So if you could just go ahead and get here as soon as possible, that would be terrific.
keep the tapes rolling, just in case you remember anything else. And I'll bring you a coffee and an ashtray. Back there in the corner, there's a sink where you can wash the blood off their hands. And maybe then we could talk. You've witnessed the murder, and you carried the body 9 blocks down the main end, all alone in the pouring rain. But then the rain never stops in the town of the broken, where the beast of indifference resides. And you've been walking the streets, grinding the corners, but at least you had her by your side. But now that she's gone, it's all gone. I'll keep the door open, so if you want to go now, I won't send my man. Well, the morning train leaves at 10. I'll hold the reporters, I will feed them some lies, use a fictional name, 'cause I was once just the same. The rain never stopped in the town of the broken, where the beast of indifference resides. And I've been walking the streets, grinding the corners, but at least I had her by my side. And now that she's gone, it's all gone.
Hey, diaper lady! Here's my diaper. I think I might have pinched one off too soon. Oh, aye. I left a rosebud in there for you.
So this is the first post-Trump podcast. Hopefully I got some things off my chest about what I was upset about, mostly about this result of the general election and how it came to be. But more importantly, I hope that I've given you some food for thought for how things can be better. And without having you have to be jumping ship off the current movement you're involved in, or group you may have started or been involved in. Mostly, when I started this thing, American Voice podcast, the idea, the title of the whole thing was American Voice podcast. So what we have to have happen here now is, without a doubt, we have to hear some American voices. Sink or die here, folks. Sink or die. Sink or swim, pardon me. Not to be so dire, Jesus. Pardon my karma. This is a plea. Really, it is a plea. I don't have anything left to do but plea. I'm hoping that you're not listening to this and thinking that I'm egotistical enough to think I want to be the voice of the American people, or the reason that everything got moving forward, or the course to where I can sit there and talk shows and say, yep, I started the whole movement. I'm the reason the world's getting better. I'm the reason all these people got involved. Fuck. Bullshit. You've all been involved. You've all been doing something. You've all been trying to make the world better. You've all voiced your opinion. I have so many things on my wall on Facebook that I stopped reading because it's just all correct and all fucking incorrect or whatever it is. You all want to be a part of something important. You all want to be better off than you were. I don't know how far back you want to go. You all want to do is work your ass off and be appreciated. You all want to be paid fairly by your boss. You all want to be taken care of if health issues become a problem. You all want to be taken care of in your old age. You all want to make sure if something happens and you can't work, that you're not fucking left aside. You all want the same for other people too. You want people who come across the borders in this country to have an opportunity if they work hard and make a big success. It's the American story. It's not ever going to go away. We're going to make sure of that for sure. This movement will never let the American story go away. That if you work hard and you're diligent and you play by the rules, that you do become something. That you can become something. Maybe not you do become something, but you can become something. Because not everybody's going to succeed in this country. Not even the people who are smartest, intelligent, and hardest workers are going to succeed in this country. But you should have that opportunity to do that. And that's what's at issue here. That's what's at stake here. The stakes are high. This is the stakes of whether or not you come in this country and you do play by the rules and you do work hard, that you have a chance to be something. Those are the stakes at hand, folks. That's what's at hand here. This is what makes this movement more important than anything that I can imagine I can do in my life. And if I make one person say, you know what, that is important, I want to talk. I want to voice my opinion. I want to be a part of a movement toward that goal. Then I have succeeded in doing something. So this has been my podcast for November 18th, 2016. Over the course of the next few months, you're going to hear more of what the platform of this movement is in detail. Each economic issue, immigration, terrorism, the income gap, climate control, you name it. In the course of the next few months, you're going to hear all about what I think this movement should be about. And then I want to hear from you, because you are the most important element in all of this. You're the person who tells me, I agree, this is why, or I disagree, this is why. And from there, we get more voices to say agree or disagree. And from there, we form a movement with everyone's ideology, and beliefs, and what they want involved. So like I said, I don't want to be the only voice. I don't want to be the guy who does it. I don't have any reason for notoriety. That to me would just be silly. I don't even want to give a fuck if everybody fucking remembers who I am. But if somehow this movement occurs because of something I've done, then yeah, I'll be happy. And I'll be happy if somebody else's name gets recognized. And somebody takes charge of this thing and takes it by the reins and says, I've got it now and I can do this again. And I'll step aside gladly. If you're more intelligent, you've got better ideas, and you're more popular, that's fine with me. I just want to start shit. I want to start the fucker. Okay? Birth the bitch. Give birth. Listen. Engage. And start a movement. And if you're not listening for this podcast for any other reason than music and fucking jokes, good luck. Because shit's gonna change. Why? Because the shit has changed. Good night, good luck. Karma be with you. The American Voice Podcast is off the air. Till next week. Daddy, sorry about that, but yes, I'm staying here. I'm still here.
Look at what's happened to me. I can't believe it myself. Suddenly I'm up on top of the world. It should have